Hello and welcome to today's event, the latest in Transportation Insights Digital Master Series. Today we're going to be talking about parcel peak season and the many challenges that shippers are facing in the marketplace today. I'm Michael Willard in the marketing division at Transportation Insight, and we've invited members of our parcel operation teams to join us today. Before we turn it over to our subject matter experts, I want to remind our audience that we welcome your participation. Please submit your questions for our panelists in the GoToWebinar questions panel. We'll address questions at the conclusion of our presentation, which I'm getting ready to hand over to Robin Meyer. Robin is a parcel expert with 20 years of experience working in the small package environment. She's known for her ability to help shippers leverage delivery service, cost, and choice, all as experience enhancement drivers for end customers. And today, you're going to know her as our moderator for the conversation. That's going to begin with an introduction of our panel and our parcel experts. Robin, take it away.
Thanks, Michael. We're excited to have with us generations of experience in the small package environment today. This includes Transportation Insight Senior Parcel Operations Specialist Bernie Reeve. Bernie spent 37 years designing, pricing, and managing complex rate structures for UPS. We're fortunate to have him working on behalf of our shippers now.
Hey, thanks, Robin. I'm looking forward to talking more about how the upcoming rate changes are going to affect parcel shippers and hopefully give some insight and some items that you may not see coming.
Thank you. We also have Charles Moore. Charles is the Vice President of Parcel Solutions for Transportation Insight. He's a pioneer in the service, refund, and parcel auditing industry. And Charles has more than 29 years of experience in the parcel space, and he always has great insights to share. Charles?
Thank you, Robin. It's definitely unprecedented times that we find ourselves in, and I hope that I can help our audience improve and learn the important things that they need to know about this peak season.
Great. That's right. Santa's sleigh's already getting full, and it's not even October, right? Transportation Insight's Director of Audit Recovery is with us today, Tony Caputo. She's an expert at using methods of technology to help shippers control costs and recover a tremendous amount of savings through claims and error correction. With 21 years of experience, she works with our clients to not only identify, but also repair situations within shipping platforms and processes that create needs for refunds and rebuild. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks, Robin. We are hearing a lot of shippers question the value of audit when service guarantees are waived. And I can't wait to talk more about how audit processes are more important than ever.
Great. Thanks, Tony. And finally, Transportation Insight's Vice President of Parcel Operations is the senior member of our parcel team. Todd Benge has spent more than 35 years in parcel logistics, including 21 years spent as an engineer with UPS. His deep experience in parcel program design and network design is an asset for shippers trying to enhance their service to end customers through a variety of methods, but improved product fulfillment, order placement, and inventory deployment are one of those. So we'll begin our roundtable today with Todd. He's gathered information from touch points across the parcel marketplace to delivery a state of the parcel industry overview. Welcome to the roundtable, Todd.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you very much. So let's begin. With the outbreak of COVID-19, basically a new world has been created for the small package. If you take a look at 15 years ago, the carriers were delivering about 20 to 25% of their deliveries to residential addresses. Just last year, in 2019, they were delivering 50% residential. Now through COVID-19, their networks have reached 70%. If you take a look at what's happened this year, the e-commerce market has grown over 34%. UPS has stated their residential deliveries have grown at 65% during the second quarter of 2020. Carriers are being asked to absorb and handle a volume increase unlike anything their networks have ever experienced. Ordinarily, carriers experience peak season about 6 weeks a year. Now carriers have been running at peak season pace for several months straight. There has never been this kind of capacity utilization in the small package network. This massive increase has created management difficulties for the carriers, so they have implemented a COVID-19 surcharge. They first started basically at the beginning, actually at the end of the first quarter, And they were actually instituted first by DHL on international lanes. And these lanes were basically from mainland China to North America and Europe. UPS and FedEx soon followed with these international surcharges. Now, UPS and FedEx have had to create a peak season operating plan in the middle of spring and summer to handle the demand of home delivery while simultaneously experience the collapse of their commercial delivery networks. This has created huge problems for the carriers as commercial deliveries are traditionally their most profitable and have now been reduced to a fraction of their former levels. Due to this residential volume increase, the carriers have suspended their delivery guarantees. These guarantees have remained suspended through the summer and are expected to carry on into 2021. While the suspension has been a savings to the carriers, large shippers still received the COVID-19 surcharges. These actually began in June. These surcharges are running through all of summer and into the fall. UPS created a 30-cent charge for residential and SurePost packages, excuse me, while also instituting surcharges on difficult-to-handle packages, such as large package. This increased by $31.45. FedEx did their own increase for large shippers as well, and they posted 30 cents for express and ground residential deliveries, while posting 40 cents for the SmartPost deliveries. The FedEx equivalent to large package surcharge, which they call oversized, increased around $30 compared to $31.45 for FedEx. As COVID-19 has continued throughout the summer and now approaching the fall, the carriers have recently announced their standard holiday peak season surcharges as well. If you remember, peak season surcharges started to appear back in 2016. They were implemented based on the high cost to serve, difficult to handle packages. This peak season, the charges will be more broad-based and targeted at the shippers who affect their networks more greatly. So, taking a look at that, they have created a threshold formula that will place different charges based on volume trends. These volume trends will be calculated, then assessed each week based on growth that exceeds a baseline. The charges for UPS will range from $1, $2, and $3 for ground residential and the SurePost packages. If you remember, the SurePost package is a combination delivery between a UPS driver and the local post office. For the air services, UPS plans to institute $2, $3, and $4. These charges will begin November 15th and continue through January 16th of 2021. UPS is also going to add additional handling charge of $5, large package $50, and overmax limits $250. These will begin being assessed October 4th and also run through January 16th, 2021. FedEx will begin their holiday peak season surcharges October 5th, but for packages needing additional handling, about $4.90 compared to the $5 from UPS. Oversized packages, $52.50. Unauthorized packages, $350. And that runs through January 17th of 2021. The FedEx package charges are a little different than the UPS charges, but still aggressive. The residential ground packages will receive $1, $2, $3, and up to $4 per package, but these will be based on a formula and will be changed weekly, basically based on the week during this peak season. The residential express shipments will receive $2, $3, $4, and up to $5 based on that same formula, which is again delivered by week. The largest difference is the SmartPost packages. All SmartPosts will be charged the surcharge for the 8-week season. The charge is $1 to $2 based on the delivery week. Not only are we seeing the largest holiday surcharges, the post office, the USPS, has decided to post charges as well. The Postal Service will implement these peak season surcharges beginning October 18th and running through December 27th. The fees still need to receive regulatory approval, but we expect them to be passed. The proposal that USPS fees are a simple addition and are applied per package, and they apply to all commercial shippers. The fees do not apply to retail prices or international products. The range of the fee is from 24 cents up to $1.50, depending on the service level. Since the announcement of the additional 24 cents for the USPS Parcel Select DDU deliveries, those are your local post offices, UPS has decided to adjust the published rate chart for the service SurePost. This goes into effect October 15th. If you remember, again, the SurePost product from UPS is a combination delivery. So the last mile can be the UPS standard driver, or it can be the local post office postal carrier. Either way, the rate card has been adjusted 24 cents. Just to give you an idea, this will not be passed on by FedEx. And this is the reason being is, if you remember earlier last year, they made the statement they planned on bringing in most of their smart post deliveries, which also was a service that was a combination delivery through their own driver network and the USPS. They have decided to bring all those packages back inside. Those packages are being delivered by FedEx drivers now, so they have decided not to pass that additional 24 cents onto the the smart post, but actually have that already instituted through their peak season surcharge. Now, not to belabor the point, but even the small package regional carriers, for the first time, are implementing peak season surcharges as well. The big takeaway from these surcharges fees are the complexity in which they are assessed and the difficulty in which it is to calculate. This makes it very difficult for customers to plan, manage, report, and audit these fees. The apple cart of the parcel industry has forever been kicked over. This lack of capacity, increase in cost, decrease in has created a large need for options. This change will be forever felt as parcel works to find its way through this new gauntlet. The need for regional parcel carriers, the need for an effective USPS, and the ability to manage national carriers in functional operating networks are going to be the new norm. The need to be able to develop complex operating plans and routing instructions, along with managing a dynamic pricing contract environment so that you can better manage your network, will be the foremost. As we see Amazon delivering more of their own volume, over 65% now, Walmart looking to build their own delivery network, regional carriers continually to build out their networks, understanding, navigating, and engaging the new world of parcel will become even more complex. The need for a well-educated, market-focused, and technology-savvy viewpoint will be necessary. More and more customers are coming to TI for assistance in this nimble, necessary environment. So let's drill into some of the inquiries we are hearing daily.
Thanks,
Robin.
Todd. Yep, thanks, Todd, for that brilliant insight. One of the things I wanted to address really quickly is we focused on peak in the webinar communications, but we are hearing day to day from daily conversations with the clients and prospects. Really, they're looking for new ideas, recommendations, and help. So not only with the understanding of the importance of these charges and changes that the carriers are laying out, but also how to mitigate that, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit more about some different topics as well as the peak. We're going to talk a little bit about what we see in the GRI, how some of our clients are handling capacity, and then also carrier utilization options. So, you know, we live in the parcel industry 24/7, 365. And so let's dig into some of those questions and comments that we're hearing from our clients and prospects daily. So Tony, the first question is going to go to you. What is there to audit since service failures and on-time deliveries are waived? And really, why bother?
Yeah, great question. We actually get this question a lot. If shippers have waivers in place, and especially during the past 6 months. And I can say that, you know, my audit teams have not slowed down one bit with service guarantees being waived, and it's actually picked up in other areas. The audit platform that we use breaks down carrier invoice details to the charge level to analyze all those peak season surcharges that Todd talked about, rates and discounts. And already this year, we've seen a number of rate errors and worked on our clients' behalf to recover savings of over $1.4 million. We're also identifying duplicate charges and billing errors at the charge level, which is impossible to do without an invoice audit in place. And even though some service guarantees are waived, shippers should still want to audit every package to ensure it's delivered and not lost in transit or even damaged. This year, we've seen the perfect storm of greater than normal demand, fewer drivers, and more retailers shipping items that normally would be purchased and picked up in store. And without a doubt, that's caused an increase in the lost and damaged packages. And this can definitely impact the customer experience. With audit, we manage the entire lost and damaged process from identification to resolution and recovery. And not only have we secured over 1.7 million in lost and damaged savings so far this year, but we also have provided valuable data regarding insufficient packaging details down to the SKU level for some of our clients. And this has been super helpful for them when they introduce new products or they're shipping with new vendors. And again, this is something only available when performing service audit. The data that we collect during audit allows our teams and our tools to provide insight to how new surcharges or new carrier rules will impact transportation and costs. For example, FedEx made the announcement recently that they'll be implementing a late payment fee effective January 2021. Well, over the years, our compliance audits have helped several clients to identify and repair UPS late payment fees. And especially this year, since a lot of staffing changes and work from home scenarios were made due to COVID, shippers want to ensure that their carrier payments are made correctly and on time. So yeah, more than ever, invoice, service, and compliance audits are an important practice in controlling cost, validating shipping charges, and mitigating risk during peak season and really beyond.
Yes, thanks, Tony. So, when you talk about audit and how we help, and you look at I saw a recent statistic that came out from Aberdeen just last week that said that 50% of customers don't return because of a bad delivery experience. So no matter how much they love your product, they won't come back if the delivery experience isn't good. So when people ask, why should I audit? It's really all of the information that you just shared, Tony, because anything that you have in regards to a bad experience would be reflected in a refund or an audit. Recently, I want to give a quick story. We also worked with a client and we saw a big change in their per package cost that really dealt with an early AM return. Their cost per package had increased by about $1.50. And that was really due to a billing adjustment error that the carrier had made. So those type of analyses and audits are things that we can definitely help with and a reason to continue that. So the next question we have goes to Charles. What are the last days to ship for Christmas delivery per carrier, and why is this important to know?
Thank you, Robin. The official announcement from FedEx is now available on their website, and the days are as follows. For FedEx Ground, it'll be Tuesday, December 15th. For FedEx Priority Overnight, it's going to be Wednesday, December 23rd. For FedEx 2-Day, it's going to be Tuesday, December 22nd. For FedEx Express Saver, which is their 3-day product, it will be Monday, December 21st. And for FedEx Smart Post, which is their ground residential product delivered by the USPS, and it's typically used by many e-commerce shippers as the mode of choice for free shipping, that's going to be Wednesday, December 9th. We've not seen anything official from UPS. However, we do expect them to follow a similar schedule. Being fully mindful of these dates and understanding them is important, and that navigating this year's peak season during the middle of a pandemic will definitely require companies to be more creative and flexible. As we know, peak season normally stretches carriers thin, and they ramp up the best that they can to meet the surge each year. If you've been following the news, you may have seen evidence of this where Amazon and UPS are hiring approximately 100,000 temporary workers, and FedEx is expecting to hire approximately 70,000. For both carriers and shippers, this year is different, and the holiday season is further complicated by lockdowns and sheltering in place that have driven e-commerce shipments to levels never seen before. The new reality has created ongoing service delays and disruptions, which have compounded into overall capacity crunch for small parcel carriers that will require forward-thinking companies to adjust accordingly. Therefore, our company, Transportation Insight, is recommending that companies should do the following. First, proactively communicate with carriers regarding any expected increase in volume and any additional equipment requirements such as feeders or bulk type pickups. Secondly, companies should proactively communicate anticipated delays and properly set customers' expectations on their websites and in any email communications. Also, shippers will need to clearly understand any potential volume limits or caps that may be put in place by the carriers. Shippers will also need to understand their carrier options and ensure that they have negotiated favorable agreement terms to properly leverage all national, regional, and postal carriers. And finally, shippers should begin product promotions early to pull volume forward to avoid peak shipping periods and allow time for expected delays.
Charles, those are extremely valid points and a great analysis. And if you just take a look at what we looked like last year as far as our customers, and we took a look at how the carriers performed, and you take a look at their Postal Service solutions such as SurePost and SmartPost at the time in 2019, making that delivery date that the carrier would be, from all sides over 100% on time delivery, making it by the 24th. You can see that about 10 days out from the 24th, that starts to slip. So it is going to be critical for people to understand what they tell their customer of when they actually make that shipment. If you look at the ground side of it for both UPS and FedEx, it does close, and now you're getting into about 6 days out from the 24th that you want to make sure that we're still showing high nights. But again, it is critical to let the customer know that the risk passing the carrier's own commit or own suggested date in which they accept the pickup for a Christmas delivery.
Thanks, Charles and Todd. So the next question that we have been asked is, we're hearing a lot of stories around delivery issues. What is the actual on-time performance for each carrier, and what is the customer experience? And I'm going to give this one to Charles as well.
Thank you, Robin. So the numbers that I'm going to share today include all exceptions such as weather, additional security, COVID-19, etc. And although we should not penalize the carriers for valid exceptions, this is what the true customer delivery experience is. We're seeing the following for the two national carriers with respect to their ground service, which is what most shippers primarily use, especially for e-commerce shipments. And so for UPS on their ground commercial product, we're seeing an on-time delivery rate of 86.71% as compared to FedEx's ground commercial service at 82.69%. And for UPS ground residential, we're seeing 86.69% and FedEx home delivery of 85.29%. These numbers are definitely below historical averages and are lower due to the surge in the e-commerce business. This segment, as Todd indicated, is accelerating rapidly because businesses and consumers have realized, that the world's really not going to end, and they've started to resume their daily lives. However, their buying behavior, shaped by COVID-19, has moved many people to make purchases online, and that volume is growing. At this point, we fully expect the third quarter volume to exceed the 2019 holiday season, and that the 2020 holiday volume will exceed all previous records. Knowing the capacity constraints and the existing delays combined with record-breaking holiday volume, if not managed correctly, the customer experience will definitely suffer.
That was a very good point, Charles. And I think the key is what you just said about the volume coming into this holiday season is going to be none we've ever seen before. and knowing that the carriers are already being stressed to the limits, that these numbers that we talk about as far as on-time performance are basically numbers that they're achieving now. It's not what they have done in the past, but it's based on the stretching of the network, or the stressing of the network that has occurred. Now, they are in the process of hiring. FedEx has stated 70,000 people for peak, and UPS has stated 100,000 people for peak. But remember, the buildings only can process X amount of packages per hour. So at the end of the day, with both of them being more highly automated, their ability to increase their operating output is now absolutely capped based on the automation that says this is the best we can do. Where before you could put a lot of bodies into a more manual facility, that does not exist. So the key is going to be what Charles had stated earlier, letting the carrier know what you're going to tender to them, when you're going to tender it, and having that communication channel as open and wide open, so that you can then basically meet your needs to your customers.
Well, Todd, that's some interesting information. I think that on top of that, we've got to understand the carriers are going to be in a situation where they can raise rates now. When capacity is at the maximum, rates are going to be able
What
to be
you may be
increased.
hearing from the carrier.
And you can already see that happening. We've got the COVID seat surcharges that have hit. Peak season surcharges are out. FedEx just announced their 2021 rate increase. And let's go through that a little bit. First of all, FedEx gave a 4.9% rate increase, just what everyone expects. That's, I think, the 13th year ground rate increase has been 4.9% or higher. But with it, though, things are a little differently. On the ground increase, the ground minimum went up 6.4%, and packages from 1 to 5 pounds increased over 6%. So FedEx really hit the lightweights pretty hard. Other things that have happened, new charges. As Tony indicated before, FedEx has put in a late payment fee of 6%. And they've been, UPS has had the late payment fee in for, I think, 15 years now. So FedEx has just made this move. It is very important you don't get caught up in this and miss a date of a payment, because it's costly. The next thing FedEx did, they put in another new charge. They added an additional handling charge for packages that are over 105 inches in length and girth combined. Okay, that charge is going to be $16 in 2021. So why did they do this? Well, there's a charge that UPS and FedEx have for large packages, which are over 130 inches in length and girth combined. This now gives another additional shot of revenue for packages that just don't quite make that threshold. So carriers want to charge more for packages that take up space on their belts, packages they can't process through the buildings quickly. And this one really hits packages that don't get hit with dim weight very much, mostly flat packages. The other thing we noticed that FedEx did, the high accessorial increases. Most of their accessorials went up above the 4.9 announcement. Their home delivery residential surcharge went up 8.8%. Their home delivery extended DAS went up 9.3%. And their third-party billing charge went from 2.5% to 4.5%. So that's just a snapshot of what FedEx did. So what will UPS do? Well, expect similar rate increases from UPS to what FedEx just did, especially with the ground. Higher increases for SurePost. I would think that UPS continues their trend of really hitting SurePost packages hard. UPS should follow the FedEx additional handling, and they're probably looking at implementing the rate change as early as they can. As you've noticed in past years, that rate increase date keeps moving into December. And I wouldn't put it past them to try to get some of the peak days under the new rate increase.
No, those are very good points, Bernie. And I think that, the thing that stands out is the 4.9% rate increase that FedEx announced stands pretty tall with what we've said, and basically that has been an accepted rate increase for over a decade. And probably UPS will follow suit, very similar, make the statement 4.9, and then go at the surcharges that you had pointed out that actually impact drastically a network, and their network in particular. These additional handling packages, because of the automation, these transfer belts have different sizes, and then basically the belts move at a very high rate of speed, so they have to be basically positioned on the belt so no jams occur, because now it's going to be like honestly, a freeway. You get an accident on a freeway, it's terrible. And it's the same thing that happens in these highly automated facilities. The boxes are moving so fast, if there's a jam, it's terrible because it just compounds quickly and out of control. So they are more focused on making sure these buildings run effectively, efficiently, and continuously, so that they cannot take these odd shaped, or what we would call incompatible or irregular type packages, and they need to pull them out of that network and make sure that they handle them separately, so that the standard box type corrugated package moves through their network efficiently. And so I expect UPS to do the same and follow it and be more diligent around controlling this expense. So it's just a new norm.
Yeah, Todd, that's a good point. I think a lot of folks, may not even understand that the large package peak surcharges and those things aren't really to make the package more profitable. It's really to take them out of the network. The network can only handle so many of those large packages.
Yeah, so thanks, Bernie and Todd. Yeah, definitely great information. So in terms of the next question, I believe that's Todd's as well. One of the things that everyone's coming to us right now asking about is the regional carriers. So regional carriers are saying they're near capacity. What do you think the regional carriers look like for 2021? When will capacity improve, if it will, and how do we leverage partnerships with those carriers?
So those are great questions. And looking into 2021, the new normal is driving these regional package carriers to become much more viable. The beautiful thing that's happening right now for them, not so much the shipper, but for the regional package carrier, they're getting the revenue to be able to invest CapEx and actually start to expand their networks so that they can become actually more of a impact in the world of parcel. If you look prior, they were a good fit if you could meet that particular operating plan for them. And it took some effort, took some guidance, and it took some technology and sophistication to be able to basically deploy a regional carrier solution. But with this onslaught of home delivery, the onslaught of volume in general has allowed these regional carriers to invest, expand, grow, and provide more coverage and more delivery options and be able to become more competitive. And I see them being a more regular competitor in the world of small package moving forward, not just for the super large shipper, but for your middle of the size type shipper, the smaller shippers that are located in the area that's served by a regional carrier. There's going to be a lot of capabilities that these regional carriers can play and find solutions for some of these more difficult to handle packages, for the sole reason is at this point they're a little bit like the FedEx and the UPSs of old. They have automation, but they don't have automation at the same level as UPS FedEx yet. So they have more manual facilities and they can deal with it at a easier pace. So there's a lot of upside that we see moving forward in the world of regional carriers. I think that customers are going to have to start to think, how do we start to employ a regional carrier operating plan, so that in these, if, God bless, this never happens again, but customers have been trained to order all kinds of different items online. So this new norm, it's not going to be exactly COVID-19, but we will see more home delivery than ever before. And how we, basically build our network around that to suffice that is going to rely on a regional carrier plan.
Yeah, Todd, that's a great point. I think regional carriers are definitely going to be some of the future options for parcel shippers. This year may be tough because they're at capacity also, and I don't know that a lot of them are going to take on volume they can't handle. Nobody wants to end up having the UPS peak season of, I think it was 2017, where there were so many service failures, it just gave them a black eye. So I agree, you got to incorporate the regional carriers into your plans, and it's got to be every year you've got to start moving more volume to them as you can.
Well, and with more and
Yeah,
more,
exactly.
yeah, with more and more companies going online and offering opportunities to have their product shipped to home, that's going to just continue to evolve. I saw an article that came out today, actually, that said that online grocery sales would account for 20% of the total U.S. grocery market this year. So even when you look at groceries and that type of thing, you're even looking at a change in capacity for delivery and so forth. So the next question we have is, what are you seeing in regards to alternative partners? And should I utilize more third-party partners? And Todd, I'm going to give this one to you.
So, this is a tough one because the third-party fulfillment takes a pretty good planning phase to be able to bring that up and bring it down when needed. Along with it is a well thought out and analytical plan of what inventory should be placed and moved, and how are you going to then support your customer base through utilizing a third party. Third party fulfillment is definitely a option and a viable option, especially in a short-term environment when the volume increases so greatly, to be able to take a look at how can I ramp up quickly without having an enormous amount of expenditure as far as CapEx goes, and how do I not have to have all of these facilities online throughout the year, and in a short period of time when I really need them, how can I have a plan in action to do that? And this comes very similar to the regional carrier play. This is where this game plan or this operating plan or this master operating plan has to be laid out in advance. And I believe strongly that as technology continues on, we're going to see some unique things occur. As we have seen really advance quickly through this COVID-19, such as Instacart, having a particular person go and shop for you and then deliver the groceries to your house. Technology is going to bring a abundance of different solutions. How we adapt them are going to be critical. And sometimes, customers are very busy and have a lot going on, and it looks good to have a third party, not necessarily a warehouse third party, but a third party to help basically put my transportation department on steroids, to help do a lot of this analytic support, to do a lot of the vetting, and to do a lot of the map building, so to speak, helping navigate these waters. And I think that that's the future is heading that way, and being able to take these technologies and figure out how to utilize them is definitely going to be critical, and how you partner with a third party is, again, going to be very critical. And Charles, I know you have some thoughts on this as well.
Absolutely. I'm seeing a lot of the same things that you are, and specifically with respect to third party fulfillment. For most companies, speed is the #1 deliverable for supply chain, and doing it fast and cheap is the biggest challenge. And then you throw in the additional delays. Companies are definitely looking to move volume closer to the end consumer to achieve speed at an acceptable price point. We are definitely seeing many companies looking to grow into or service specific markets faster, or even go direct to consumer. or most recently, try to meet the Amazon requirements that will take effect in February to maintain their prime designation. The challenge is due to uncertainty that they're not prepared to make the long-term commitments with respect to infrastructure and employees. And so they're looking to third-party fulfillment or 3PLs as an option to move quickly and satisfy that need. The biggest questions to be answered are where should I locate and which inventory SKUs should be stocked? And arriving at those correct answers are definitely vital to maintaining order profitability.
Thanks, Charles. So that goes right into the last question that we had in preparation for this. And that question is, am I making money and are my shipments profitable? And so I'm going to take the first stab at this. So, this has been a question that shippers have been asking for years, but with the explosive growth of e-commerce, I think it was $83.5 billion in May alone, right? It's become a much higher priority with COVID. So Transportation Insight actually banded together with our IT and our supply chain assessment group and our transportation operations teams during the first few months of this pandemic, right, to create a system that's capable of looking at consolidating manifest costs, billing, and carrier data into a visibility tool that really provides our clients with a true landed cost, a cost of returns and a customer experience analysis. So, when you look at your shipments as a whole, and you recognize that 20% of SKUs typically represent about 80% of your revenue, it means that identifying the winners and the losers within your inventory is vital, especially with the times we're experiencing today. So we just talked a lot about some of the peak charges, right? An additional $1 or $2 accessorial charge, a $16 charge. I mean, those things can signify a huge shift in profitability for a product that's being touted on your website or your banner ads. And having access to this information along with the cost of returns can really help you utilize the right carrier, maybe look at your packaging, your process, and your price point. So I'll give you a story real quick. We had one client that's banner brand product was actually a loss leader when taking into account the additional handling charge that went from last year from 70 to 50 pounds. And so when that change was made, this year in regards to that carrier change and the pound accessorial charge, they had to look at how do we revisit that as being one of our banner ads, and how do we push consumers to really buy more than just that product in a single shipment. We had another client that we identified a split order issue with when they were using their stores as fulfillment centers during this pandemic. So they had invested heavily into a inventory system, but we're seeing a large volume of split orders when placing the orders to be shipped from the stores. So they had changed their distribution model to really be a ship from DC to the consumer to a ship from store to the consumer. But they noticed that they were finding a lot of split orders. And when we dug into the problem, we helped them identify that the revenue recognition incentives they had placed for the store GMs were actually causing this issue. GMs were receiving a higher percentage of revenue off of orders fulfilled in their store by a person buying in the store than being shipped from the store. And so what was happening was the GMs were keeping the product on their shelves in hope that a consumer would come in and purchase directly from them. So with the margin management tool, shippers have a bird's eye view into the product profitability, your freight percentage of cost per region, and your split order percentage, and many other game-changing data points. And this is really the stuff that you need, the information you need to realize, are my shipments profitable? How are these things impacting my shipments? And even when you look at the GRI, how's that going to impact my profitability by product in 2021?
Robin, that's a great point. And this is the perfect example of why continuing audit in today's environment is extremely important. Audit is what provides the carrier data points used in this tool that you've talked about, and others like our Fusion portal, to identify gaps, challenges, and opportunities within parcel supply chain.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, so we've received and I know we've got time for maybe one or two. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to send them over. I'm going to address the first one quickly. How can I, as an individual shipper, accurately project the impact of the peak season surcharges on my company? Bernie, can I hand that over to you?
Sure. And And the simple answer to that, it's very, very difficult to do. And you're going to have someone really put a lot of time and effort into that analysis. An alternative to that would be to get a company that does this all the time to help you with that. You know, TI is one of those companies. This analysis is very complex. Every carrier except the post office has a lot of criteria you have to go through and analyze. Post office is simple. It's a simple charge per rate cell. But for UPS, you got to have more than 25,000 residential packages or SurePost packages per week to be eligible for the charge. FedEx is different. It's 35,000 packages, period, express or ground or smart post. So the stuff gets complicated. Then you've got to go assess, well, how much is my charge going to be? And that's based off your February volume and what your index is to that during peak. So it gets to be complicated, and the reason you really need to pay attention to it, because it is so punitive. If you get it wrong and you didn't plan right, it could really destroy your profitability for your busiest time of year.
Thanks, Bernie. Okay, we've received one more. How do you guarantee you are paying the proper rates to the carriers? Tony, I'm going to hand that one to you, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I touched on this a little bit, but you really need to have an auditor like Transportation Insight in place who's, you know, we've invested millions of dollars to create a transactional based system that's built to mirror each of the carrier systems. So with every new surcharge, with every new change that the carriers make, we're able to make those same changes and ensure that the proper rates and discounts are applied. But it is very tricky. It's not an easy audit to perform by yourself, and you definitely need an auditor to help you with that.
Perfect. Thanks, Tony. I got one more, actually via a text. So I'm gonna put Todd and Bernie on the spot here. The question is that FedEx recently released their GRI. Bernie, you covered that a little bit. They're asking when we believe we will see UPSs. I know that's sort of a crystal ball question, but do you have an opinion on that at this point?
Well, it's all a matter of. Go ahead, Todd.
I was just going to say this real quick, Bernie, and then you can give more of the history on it. Last year was the latest it's ever been, and they waited, and it was about 21 days before the new year, and that was the latest it's ever been announced. And normally it falls sometime in, for the most part, in the middle of November. So I'll turn it over to Bernie's, because Bernie, you set rates for 15 years, so you can give more insight as far as the date you picked.
Well, I think that UPS will probably wait a little while. I don't think you're going to get a quick response from them. I would expect sometime around the week of Thanksgiving, maybe a week before that. I think that UPS is going to really look closely at what FedEx did. There was nothing really surprising that FedEx did that UPS is going to say, oh my gosh, you know, what did they do? They're just going to have to look at where they can charge appropriately on packages that may not be as profitable as others. And I think that's their goal right now with this whole surge of residential volume, is how can I make sure that all my customers are profitable for all the packages we carry. They're going to really look hard at making sure every package has a certain profit margin.
Thanks, Bernie. A lot of great information. From our panel. I want to let everybody in the audience know, don't worry, we're going to get a recording of this webinar up live on our website as soon as possible. You'll be able to go back and listen to get all those great details about the rates and the changes here very soon. So look for it on our website. I want to thank our moderator and our panelists, Robin, Todd, Charles, Tony, Bernie. Great job from you guys. A lot of informative details for our audience. For more information or to reach out to our supply chain masters, feel free to use the contact information on the screen. You can also visit our website at transportationinsight.com. That's where you can access more about our solutions, our blogs, and our resource guides. Now, one of those resource guides is our Manage the Surge piece. It focuses specifically on protecting profitable performance during the peak season of surcharges. You want to protect your profit, check out that resource guide at our website. Whether your business is large or small, Transportation Insight has supply chain solutions that can help you control cost, manage risk, and improve customer experience. On behalf of our panelists and Transportation Insight, thank you for joining our broadcast. May you master the remainder of your day.